everyone, I'm Fionnuala Macaulay from Earthly Elegance, and I'm here with Abby Ho from the Designer Room in Mullingar, Bridal Shop, and Siobhan Daly Designs from where are you based, Siobhan, actually?
I'm in Meath. I'm originally from Kilkenny, but I'm in Meath.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess we're here today to try and get our brides excited again about getting married. So we've had a few conversations, and I know certainly for my poor brides, I feel so bad for them. And it's hard to get a little bit of motivation and excitement going again. So here we are. Did you want to tell us a little bit about your business, Siobhan?
Yeah, sure. You can see around me there's a mess of feathers and stuff. So I make headpieces, both the races and weddings. So I'd have mother of the bride and wedding guests, bridal then of course as well. And then I have accessories, earrings and neck pieces and collars. They can often be like a birthday gift or communion confirmation. But I think weddings is probably my favorite because of the excitement that comes with it. Like everybody is always excited, whether it's the mother of the bride or groom, the bride herself or the wedding guest. Like everyone is excited by this person that they love, that they can't wait to see get married, and they just want to look brilliant on the day that's so special to them. So that's kind of, I suppose that's why I love the weddings side of things. Yeah, that's me.
What about you, Abby?
Yeah, so I have a bridal shop here in Mullingar. Bridal is my main focus. It's what I do the majority of. I'd like to classify myself as a one-stop shop because I can accommodate brides, do headpieces, veils, shoes. I also do bridesmaids, so I can do full bridal party styling. And then I do a little bit of communion and a little bit of death dresses as well. And it's just myself. I'm just a one-woman team. Apart from I have a very good dressmaker that I work with. And yeah, that's me.
And Siobhan, do you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on in the millinery world at the moment through all this COVID-19 and what they're at and what they're up to?
Yeah, unfortunately, the millinery world has kind of come to a standstill. I mean, Ascot, Cheltenham, all of the big races, Galway races, horse show, you know, both big and small, they're all obviously postponed, cancelled. I even wonder whether we'll have winter racing, which would be nearly as popular really as the summer racing. So unfortunately, that has come to a complete standstill. I've been really lucky in that my brides, mother of the brides, wedding guests, if they have ordered a headpiece and the wedding has now been postponed, they have a new date, they're still going ahead. Small tweaks maybe like, oh, that's actually going to be a winter wedding, can we add more sparkle? You know, little things like that. And I suppose the fact that I make everything, that's no problem, you know, and it wasn't made to start with. So, you know, it's not any extra work to add in the little few details or whatever. So small tweaks have made their wedding guest outfit. You know, someone's telling me they're going to add a fur, whereas they weren't worried about a fur because it was summer. These little things. A lot of milliners have done or gone down the route of making masks. Some are gifting them to frontline workers and some are selling them. You know, at the end of the day, I think that's kind of a personal decision. The reality is that the world of millinery and the milliners in it, they're not getting paid at the moment. You know, they're just not. There isn't an income there. So I think some people have come out and been a little bit harsh on people saying these should be free, but the reality is that there's a cost involved in the fabric and the threads and the elastic and everything, and there's the time. So I think that's very personal. I think we kind of need to be mindful of that as well. It's very easy for someone to come out and say, why aren't you donating them? But
to be perfectly honest, like a medical mask is very different to a mask that a milliner is going to make for you anyway.
It is.
If I want something pretty, I don't expect it to be free.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
I'm quite surprised at that.
Yeah, no, there has. I've seen a few people saying, you know, why aren't these free, or why aren't these, you know, why aren't you just donating them and this kind of carry on. But I mean, that's easy said from somebody who's sitting on the outside who doesn't realise that when you're making a mask and you've drafted a pattern and you've sewn the inside to the outside and it's not a mask anymore and you have to unpick it and you do the same thing the second time around and you can't understand why it won't work, or the elastics are on it the wrong way around so it would never sit on your ears, and all these different things that go with hand making. You
I'm
know,
not sure they do different size masks as well. Like
say that again.
children's masks and adult
Yeah,
masks. So surely they'd be
yeah.
different because they're different sizes.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of feel, do you know what? We talk about entrepreneurs and how great they are. If somebody has sat down and said, how can I survive this crisis? And they have decided that making masks might be a venture, I think fair play to them. That is kind of my honest opinion on it. If they have diversified enough that they can sustain this out, you know, like I would fear that there will be a lot of businesses that won't reopen, you know, and that's kind of the sad reality. But we're not here to talk about negativity, guys.
We're not.
So, you never told us much about you and your business and how you're being affected currently.
Yeah.
Okay, so the flower world is a little bit different than anybody else. It's a little bit more temperamental, because obviously all the growers have planted their seeds this time last year, and the spring bulbs would have been planted kind of the end of winter, you know. So all of those crops now are being just killed. They're driving over them with tractors and just dumping the flowers, because I guess 80% of the world's flowers will go into events, weddings, you know, luxury, you know,
happening.
Conferences, you know, and these are all just gone. So that, so it's a little bit difficult in terms of trying to come up with a plan for the future, because we don't know really what the future holds for flowers. We're looking at a situation that this time next year that we might have difficulty with sourcing flowers, you know, because the availability is not there, and also that in turn then makes the price rise, because flowers are bought at auction, so they're sold to the highest bidder.
Okay.
So if there's an event, if I have a wedding in July and they want peony roses, and there's an event in New York that is going to need 50,000 peonies,
that's where they'll go.
Get those those peony roses. I'm definitely not. So there is a lot to juggle at the moment. But I guess, like, I'm still very positive. I love weddings. I don't really mind whether they're small or big. I actually prefer to, in some cases, to design a tablescape for 30 people rather than 250 people. I think it creates a nice intimacy. So there is hope there. But yeah, it's very difficult, and it's very difficult for the brides that were due to get married. Like, I feel so sorry for them.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those intimate style weddings are going to become back and much more popular now after what's going on, you know, because no one knows yet how the restrictions are going to pan out. So there's still going to be people that go ahead with their original wedding date but do it on a much smaller scale, and then maybe have a big party later on, like yourself, Siobhan.
Yeah, yeah. No, that did. And like I never wanted, dare I say, I never actually wanted a big wedding, but my husband, he has, oh my God, he's so many friends from so many different groups, you know, his primary school friends and his secondary school friends and his college friends, and, you know, and none of them kind of overlap. They're all kind of very much individual groups. So when this happened, he was making the joke that, like, I had somehow set out to have a small wedding and this was my way of doing it. I was like, it's a bit extreme. Do you really think I'm capable of that? But yeah, like, the amount of people that had said to me, did it not feel really wrong or weird or whatever? And it just, you know, it was strange, don't get me wrong, because we had an empty church, effectively. Jack's parents weren't there, which was heartbreaking. They are in the at-risk category, so they couldn't make it. And luckily now they were set up on Zoom, and they had front row seats, and we have some brilliant pictures of them on laptop, like, you know. So they did get to see it. You know, the church was empty, as I say. The first, I'd say 3 pews maybe on both sides, maybe 4, I don't know. You know, basically people stood with sat with who they came with, you know. So whoever you traveled with, that's the person you were beside, and you weren't really near anybody else. And it was perfect, and it was so lovely, and I would do it 100 times over. And, you know, if someone said you're not going to have your big day, the big day with the dress and, you know, the flowers and the frills or whatever, I'd be okay with that now. I mean, we didn't get the speeches, and we didn't get the first dance, and we didn't get all the things, you know. It's an opportunity, I think, that you're bringing all these people that you love together and that, you know, you think enough of them to share this day with you. And, you know, you obviously do want that. But now that we've done not that, and we've only just had, literally we had, I have one sister, her partner, my mum and dad, Jack has 3 sisters and a niece and a nephew and their partners, and that was it, you know, and Jack's best man and a friend of mine, Sinead.
So what's that, 15 people?
It was 13 people.
13, yeah.
Yeah, 13 people. Yeah, looks perfect. But you know what? No matter what, we like the thing for us was we wanted to get married. End of story. That was the thing. And you know, I was like, I'm not willing to wait. And how long do you wait? Do you push it back 3 months? So that would be June. And at this stage, I suppose it's easy to say now that we're, you know, whatever, 5 weeks in isolation or whatever we are, 5 weeks in this situation. You know, you can see that things are not going very well anytime soon. But this was kind of the beginning of it. So you were kind of trying to look into the future and say, well, when will this be sorted? So, you know, we were saying, so this was the 10th of March or whatever when we started talking about it. And I was saying, I'm going to be devastated if the 27th of March comes and we're not married. And then it was a case of, okay, 3 months time, 27th of June, 3 months time, you know, like how far do you go? So are you 6 months out? Are you 9 months out? So then it was,
3 months seems like a long time as well. Like when you say like, in June, you're like, sure, this will be over. Like that's ages away.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And isn't there issues as well, Siobhan, around the marriage license? So if you apply for your marriage license, you only have 3 months to use it, or something. I know I'm not sure on those details. Maybe you know.
Yeah. So basically, what happened to us was we didn't know any of this. We're nearly experts in it now. I rang the priest to know could we move the date forward, and he said, yeah, you'll need to get to the registrar's office because you have to give, so basically you need to fill in an intent to marry form, and it's called the green book. Everybody knows it as the green folder. And you have to give 6 months notice to the state that you intend to marry. So we brought our wedding forward, and actually by doing that, we nearly didn't fit into the 6 months because we only, like, we were like, 6 months, that's grand. Yeah, we'll just do it. And we gave ourselves the 6 months or whatever. But actually, if we had been, I think it was something like maybe a week. We had a week window that to bring it forward. Like, we were really lucky. So I went to the registrar's office with this green book, and basically she changed the date of the intent to marry. And then you have whatever, I think it's like 30 days or something, don't quote me on that, to send it back in. But yeah, that's definitely, you have to tell the state you're getting married, you have to give them 6 months notice, and then you know, you have to, yeah, it's kind of a legal minefield as well, like all of this stuff that you don't know about when you're starting out, that you kind of have to figure out. But the thing is, the information is out there if you do actually go looking for it. Like the priest said to us straight away, no, you'll need to ring the registrar's office and get that changed. So we were supposed to get married in a much bigger church, but I was like, oh God, I can't imagine that church empty. It would nearly be eerie. So then we got married in a smaller church, but we didn't have to change the venue. That could be done on the day, little space for any changes, and you just put in the details and amend it. So yeah.
And what about you, Abby? Tell us what's going on in Bridal Dress Land.
So it's funny when you say the bridal dress world, because I was literally just going through my Instagram there earlier on as well, and like March and April would be a massive time of year for bridal buying, very much in the buying season. So London Bridal Week was back in March. Ironically, where that event is held is the London XL Arena, which is now the Nightingale Hospital in London. And instead of postponing the show this year, they've actually just cancelled it full stop. Okay. So the next bridal buying event that hopefully is going to go ahead will be Harrogate, which is in September. There was also New York Bridal Fashion Week and Barcelona Bridal Fashion Week that would have been in the last couple of weeks that have obviously been cancelled as well. So that's just the actual seasons for buying dresses. So a lot of the designers now are doing digital showrooms. I was fortunate enough that in January I went to Barcelona anyway, and I was able to view the 2021 collections and do my buying then. So
Great.
for me, in terms of brides coming back to me in a couple of months' time, looking for dresses, say for next year, 2022, I will at least have my new season gowns.
Great.
And then for girls who are due to be getting married now, yeah, I've had a good few ladies that I've had to postpone, unfortunately, both brides and bridesmaids, because I do the two. And some girls, like yourself, Siobhan, we're looking at maybe 3 months' time. They've managed to get a backup date for 3 months' time. There's some people that are holding out now for a year because they don't know what way things are going to go, and they've got people travelling from abroad, and we don't know if people are going to be able to travel. Do they have to quarantine after travel? So I think it's affected different brides in different ways, you know, in terms of how and when they're going to be postponing their weddings and like that. Were they originally having an intimate ceremony, or were they having a much grander affair with all their friends and family? And then bridal gowns have been arriving in for brides. Myself and Kay, the dressmaker that I work with, we had done up until the end of April, as in, so I shot on the 14th of March. And we'd done alterations for all those girls up until the end of April. And we'd said, look, we'll get started again in a few weeks' time, thinking that this was all this was going to be was a few weeks' time. And we had preempted it. Even girls who were getting married in May, I managed to get some of them to come in and collect their dresses just in case, thinking that we're being, you know, ahead of what was going on, one step ahead the whole time. But as it transpires, like, who knew that this was going to go on as long as it has? So I do have brides that are July, August. Some are holding out, but there are some that have decided to postpone. So in those circumstances, the dresses are here or are about to arrive. I only have a certain amount of storage in the shop because I never anticipated that I would need to hold on to a customer gown for 6 months to a year. Usually I would get a dress in maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we actually start the alterations on it. So in terms of having someone's dress here, it's not a long period of time. I don't need to store it for a long period of time. It's very much get it in, a couple of weeks time, alterations start, and then the dress is in with alterations. So I'm having to look at storage options at the moment for brides. In an ideal world, if brides can come and collect their dresses, so then they know that their dress is with them, I can give the appropriate information in terms of storing dresses. And now I say this, I can only say this for me and my business. You know, there's lots of bridal shops out there, and every bridal shop will operate differently, and they'll have different policies and procedures in place. But they would all say the same thing in terms of how to store your own dress. But I am going to give brides the option of me storing their dresses for them, but obviously I'm going to have to look at costings around that as well, because it's going to cost in terms of storage and insurance for dresses for the long term, because obviously I'm going to have bridal gowns and bridesmaid dresses, and you could have five bridesmaids in a party for one bride, so it could be quite a lot of dresses that need to be stored.
Yeah.
I guess they're going to have alteration. They'll have to go through that alteration process all over again in a year's time if they process. Like, how is that going?
Yeah. So it would have only been the April brides that would have gone in for alterations. And I know, speaking with Kay, she was holding off doing certain alterations, and she would be in touch with the brides themselves in terms of going forward with the alterations. So the way that we work is Kay comes in store and she does the first fitting in store here with me. And we do that more of we think it's more of a nice personal experience. Yeah. I don't want to just hand a bride a business card and say, there you go, see you later. For customers who decide to come to me, they have the option of using Kay. They're not obliged to use Kay, but she's there if they want to use her. She'd be my preferred dressmaker. And I've worked with Kay for a good few years. I know what way she works. She'd be very familiar with the collections that I carry. And even little things, and Siobhan, I'm sure you would totally appreciate this, different designers will work with different fabrics. They'll have different patterns, different stitch.
Yeah, different lace.
Yeah, things that you wouldn't, a general thing you wouldn't think about. Only the expert in that field would actually know that type of information, or that skill, so to speak. So yeah, but generally alterations are done quite close to the big day anyway. So we would usually start girls off at about 6 weeks for the first fitting, and for your final fitting and collection, it's usually within 10 days of the wedding. So that's how accurate the dress is going to fit. So in terms of alterations, yeah, they'll still need to be done, but
Oh yeah, but you only have that 6 week period, that 6 week block of brides that you have to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far I've got July brides, a certain amount of July brides going ahead with the wedding, and I'm currently taking appointments for June. I have quite a few people booked in for June, and I've got girls coming back to me in June for alterations. Now, because Kay hasn't been doing any alterations, it's not as if she's working on anything at the moment. So she's going to have a shorter period of time to turn these dresses around for July, but that's fine because she's literally just got those brides. So she can prioritise them and get on with them straight away. Yeah.
It's great.
Mm-hmm. Things that you never think about.
No, absolutely. There's so many things, like, and there's so many factors, and because weddings involve so many suppliers, like, it's very difficult time for it to try and negotiate a whole lot of it.
Yeah, and it's frustrating for a bride and groom as well, because like that they're having to deal, unless you have a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator to deal with everything.
Yeah, it's
up to the bride and groom to kind of go in between all their different suppliers, which can be a minefield.
I actually, one of my brides is she works for a very large company, and she's a PA to the I don't know, the COO or whatever, but she's a highly organized lady. And the day that she decided to that she was postponing her wedding, we got all of the suppliers got this Google document, and it had 3 dates on it, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. It was the best thing I've seen to date, and we all got it and we all filled it in, and she managed to get all her suppliers in line. But I'd swear it was because of that document she put in place.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it was.
That's a good tip. Like, I mean, you know, if I got that and you got that and Abby, you got it, then I can say I am available on this date and this date, but not that one, and you're the same. And then very quickly you can see what is the date that all of my, you know, and then this decision made for you. This is the date that all of my suppliers are available. And
it's also one email to that amount of suppliers as well. However many you have, like 10, 12, whatever, depending on how big the wedding is, but like, and how much detail you're putting into it. But like, I just thought it was brilliant. It was one of the best things I've seen so far.
Yeah. You should do it, the template, Vanilla.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I'll there later.
That can be your COVID-19 business diversification.
I'm not a good organizer. I have a process in place in Earthly Elegance for a long time, and if I didn't follow that process, like I wouldn't be able to complete the wedding. Let me tell you, I'm not organised.
What's the back?
Okay. So this dress is from the White One collection, and White One is a label from the Pronovius group. So a lot of brides will be very familiar with Pronovius. They're one of the largest bridal manufacturers in the world. They're Spanish. And I'd like to say this dress would, you know, you could tell it's a Spanish designer with the beautiful intricate lace. There's a little bit of a little sparkle detail there. It's a hand-beaded sequin on the lace, and the bodice is two-tone. It's like a nude lining on this particular gown. It can come ivory as well, but I think the two-tone effect is beautiful, and would tie in really well with, you know, like blushes and peach tones. That would definitely be
bridesmaid.
But this tulle, it's really hard to see it now on the black mannequin, but when people are looking at it on the hanger, they go, oh, that looks really dirty, because the tulle is nude. But as you can see when it's on the mannequin, the whole idea is that it blends in with your skin. Looks very flush with the skin. And one of the things that I love about this dress is that it's got a plunge neckline. but it's very delicate the way it's done, and it gives the illusion that all that lovely lace is actually sat against the skin as opposed
It's
to
floating nearly, isn't it?
yeah. It's called a sheath skirt, so that just means it's straight down.
Okay.
But where that skirt and bodice meet, it's on the natural waistline as well, and so it really emphasizes the natural waistline of the bride.
Is that lace detail all the way down the dress? I mean,
No, so it's very sporadic, which is lovely. So it's not a full lace gown. You can see it's all across the top of the bodice. So there's two types of lace on the bodice itself, and then into the skirt, it's just the applique. So an applique is this detail here. This is all sewn on to the fabric of the dress, and that cascades down into the skirt. And then I'll show you again the back on the train, because I think this is just fabulous. On the train.
I can imagine that for a foreign wedding. I think the sunlight against the sequins would be amazing.
Yeah, give a lovely sparkle.
Yeah. But the fabric is just so light as well. It's perfect for the, for the heat, and because it's such a light fabric, it's much easier to travel with as well.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's less likely to crease, and if it does crease, it's much easier to get the creasing out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a big dress then. Like it's very
it's very form-fitting. Yeah, just so sheath is just straight down, so it just it's like a column shape is probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. What kind of styling would you do with this?
Yeah, it's very funny because here in front of me I have a very small little thing, but it could be for bridesmaids or for brides. I don't know if you can see it. So it has like a sparkle to it, but the minute I saw the dress, these kind of leaves reminded me of the lace that's just kind of there on the neckline, like it's from a distance, but and it can just be really small in the hair, or you could have it in your bridesmaids, or you could take a little bit of veiling and it could sit at the front, and the veil could be, for if someone didn't want to go for a full length veil, something as simple as that could be really nice, especially with a little bit of sparkle on the lace, with a little bit of sparkle in this. Some people are going big, the big crowns, but I'm still finding that brides don't want huge. If they're going for a veil, they want something that will sit on the veil, remove the veil, and they can put it back in their hair. Something that's kind of in a comb. This would work quite well as well, simply because of the colour. Like, see the way the
nude, the peachy tones in it are beautiful.
Yeah.
They so well with the body.
Yeah. So that again, you could have that, like, these are samples that I have here, that when somebody says this is my dress, and I'm like, look, feel free to try any of these on. But sometimes they'll go for something like this, and then they'll have again the veiling across the face, or it'll sit at the back of the head above the actual veil, which then gets removed and this gets put back on. What are you thinking, Fanula? What kind of a bouquet, big or small now, or does that matter for a column sheath dress?
For this particular dress, I would say there's so much detail at the top of it that you don't want to take away from that. So I would be thinking of quite a dainty bouquet for this with nice trailing ivy. So to try and pick up a little bit of that detail in the top of it, but you definitely wouldn't want a heavy bouquet, a heavy set bouquet for this. Like, so Lily of the Valley would be absolutely stunning with this. It's very tiny, and you could bring in a little bit of that nude as well with some very fine Astilbe, which is a very fluffy flower. It would go very well with the Lily of the Valley, and it would just tone nicely. But I definitely would not pick a large bouquet for that dress.
That's so interesting, Vanilla, because both of the pieces that I have said would be considered small, delicate, and I would have never thought that that's what, I just wasn't even thinking, that you would say the same. But obviously it makes sense that, the dress is fabulous. It has this delicate lace, so you need to kind of complement by going for that delicate, light, airy, everything the dress is, it is guiding both of us.
Yeah, it's very funny, Siobhan, because it's one of the first questions that I would ask a bride, and they're nearly taken aback as to why I want to see their dress. But their dress has a huge part to play in what I would make them.
Yeah, 100%.
If you put a big loose, so all these asymmetrical bouquets that are oversized at the moment, they're quite popular. But if you put that with that dress, you're not going to see the detail in that dress.
Yeah.
Not.
One thing that.
Big blooms are going to take away from it.
Yeah.
You know?
And can I ask you, Fanula, what kind of colours would you go with then in florals with the nude and the ivory together?
A very, very, so there's a tone that's on it. It's a blush, but it's not really blush. It nearly meets nude. So it's a very, very, it's nearly white, but it's not. Like if you know, people see it and they nearly see it, like, or a ranunculus, the pink ranunculus. Again, it's a very, very pale pink, you know, because I do think it'd pick up that colour in that. And if you had either of those, or again peach as well, you could pick up the peach in the soft tones, but predominantly white with this dress. I would think just a fine touch of colour into it.
And would the touch of colour be maybe guided by the bridesmaids?
Yes, very much so. So if you put a blush with this, then I would use the blush, and if it was a peach, or, you know, it's very much determined on what the bridesmaids are wearing.
Colour scheme. And Abby, would there be a particular, you know, like if a bride has gone for that colour, and actually a friend of mine has gone for kind of a cappuccino-ish colour, and she's now wondering what colour bridesmaids dresses she will go for. Like, will they be saying to stay in warm tones? I'm thinking, like, you know, if it was later in the year that they could head for burgundy or whatever. Let's say someone had got this dress but hadn't got their bridesmaids, and now they're looking at rescheduling. Could you, or would they be saying, no, it doesn't really matter, like, I'm going to go navy, you know?
Yeah, look, I think the way weddings have gone now, you know, especially in the last few years, people are thinking a bit more outside the box, and they're not necessarily going with the traditional normal wedding anymore. You know, some people are, and I do still see bridesmaids who are choosing colours determined by what season we're in. But there's a lot of girls that are quite open to it, and navy is one colour that before would have been traditionally used in the winter, whereas navy it's just one of those colours that it can actually be worn all year round. It looks fabulous on everybody, and I think you have to go with what it is that you love most about a colour. For example, I think it also needs to be determined by when you've got your bridesmaids stood in front of you. If you've got 3 or 4 bridesmaids, if they're all different hair colour and all different skin tone as well, that could kind of determine what shade you're going to have to go with. It could even determine you might have to go with 2 different shades and do a mix and match colour tone, or even a mix and match in style depending on body shape. I have a couple of like dusky and peachy tones here. I'll just hold up against the dress very quickly just to give you an idea of how it worked with the nude and the ivory.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, I was thinking, like, I'd love to see this gold one, you know, because again, that's the warmth, that kind of gold. I know it would be in the back, but...
So if you went with that and then a peachy kind of dress, like, and then put a little bit of peach through the like, there's some fabulous peach coloured flowers, you know? Like, and again, that'll still can be peach as well, you know, like, it'll all come together really nicely together.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea, that would be a peach tone. So you can see the warmness.
Complemented,
and you can see it already picking up the colour there.
Yeah, perfectly complemented, yeah.
And then this would be a dusk tone, so it's a bit deeper in the colour, but it's still very soft. And it's not a definite colour, so it works really well if you're trying to piece together different types of florals.
Yeah, so with that dress, I would definitely use more kind of blush shades.
Yeah.
You know, and the other dress, I would use more kind of peachy shades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see how if you had, you know, your 4 bridesmaids or whatever, how you'd put 2 and 2 there and how that would work really well. You know, 2 in the peach and 2 in the other, and then the bride in a dress like that. You could definitely see how that would work.
Yeah, and I think as well, if people use Pinterest as well, like I find Pinterest is great for getting colour tones.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I've got a group of girls here and I make a suggestion about a 2-tone and they're like, I'm not too sure, I literally get the phone out and bring up Pinterest and do the mix and match colour tones, just so people can visualise it and actually see it and go, oh, actually it does work. Really. It might be a bit obvious that I like plunge neckline. I do tend to. like that, it's not for everybody, but I do think plunge is actually really flattering on people. And just to give you an idea, some people, they try on a plunge dress and it's not right for them, but you can actually fill in a plunge as well. You can use a little bit of lace applique, or you can use a little bit of tulle. And then some dresses are available that they were actually already, if it were sewn together.
Okay.
It's made a bit differently. You know, if you'd rather a sweetheart than a plunge neckline, those types of tweaks can be done by designers.
Yeah.
But what's unique about this dress, so this dress is from a collection called Olivia Rose, which is Romantica. So Romantica is an English company, and I would carry the main Romantica of Devon collection. And they've been around for quite a long time. They're a family-run business, originated in Devon, hence the Romantica of Devon originally. But the Olivia Rose collection is actually manufactured in the UK. A lot of wedding dresses now will be manufactured in the likes of China and Thailand, not Thailand, Vietnam, Taiwan. Some will be manufactured in America, some Spain, and then some would be in the UK as well. But they will be a little bit more expensive because it would be UK manufacturing. That's where your difference would be. But one of the lovely things about this dress, because it's made in the UK, we can do quicker turnaround on something that's done in the UK. And you're not going to be able to see this very well, but I'll hold, in fact, I'll try and bring this over here for you now. These come with a little tag. And I don't know, can you see that?
Kind of.
Sorry, I think it's whenever I touch the screen there. This little tag comes in with the dress, and it tells you who has made your dress and on what date.
No.
Isn't that a beautiful finishing touch on a wedding dress, to actually know who has made your dress?
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful finishing touch. But yeah, it's quite a full skirt, and this particular one, it is a taupe lining. So if I lift this up, I'll show you how dark the lining is. It's much darker.
Yeah. And does it come, it's like a, kind of like a blushy, beigey, you know.
Yeah, it's like a real, it'd be very nudie taupe. It would be much deeper in the tone than the last dress of the nude.
Yeah.
But you see, you've got the layers of the tulle, which then lightens up and down the colour. So
does it come in the other colour if you wanted ivory?
So they also send in a little fabric swatch with the dress.
Yeah.
The ivory, so you can see the difference. Now, what I'll say to you is, with the lining, when you've got something that's got all this pretty detail, so this is like a little leather lace applique sewn on the little leaves.
Amazing.
This detail, if you've got an ivory lining, it won't pop as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll hold it a little closer so you can see that there, and you can see the tears as well. It's got the tears on the skirt.
Yeah, it's kind of got like a vintage, like maybe I borrowed this from my grandmother, or it was her, you know. I don't know. It's beautiful. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it's.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It would be classified as a textured effect, and you'll see a lot of you know, the textured florals around now in bridal gowns, and like that, they're very fun and whimsical and romantic and a little bit boho inspired, and there's so much that you can play around with florals. Like, I'd say, Fanula, you could have a field day with this, could you?
Yeah, this is like my ideal dress, although completely not my style. But this, like, I you could do pretty much anything with this bouquet, with this dress. Definitely I would bring colour in here, quite romantic colours, so deep tones, light tones, you know, and a very playful bouquet that nearly needs to be garden gathered.
Yeah.
You know, with lots of happiness. That's what that screams to me, and I'm just excited even looking at the dress. I would like to bring it.
Maybe we should get you in, and you can come and be my live model. Catwalk for me.
Yeah. Go on, Fanula, do it.
We might be running away with ideas there, Abby.
Obviously, when social distancing has gone away, you know, we'll do something like that.
No problem. I'll try on any dress you want to put me in. But it's a really fabulous dress. I know there's quite a lot of detail in it, but that detail moves from the top to the bottom, so I wouldn't be as worried about, you know, covering up the detail here. You could use a large bouquet with this, but I would definitely say garden gathered. Stick with the garden flowers. Stick with the nice bright colours. You know, so deep pinks. You know, it'll really bring out that colour in that dress.
And
I
I
actually love the
wonder,
term garden gathered.
Pardon?
Sorry, I said I love the term garden gathered.
Yeah.
It just sounds so pretty.
yeah, it does. I'm wondering, Fanula, would it be, you know, the way you see the bouquets and they're like perfectly kind of dome shaped. I'm wondering, would it be kind of looser and have movement to it?
It will definitely have movement,
Yeah.
and it'll probably be some kind of curve, so an S curve, so that it gives that free movement, because that dress has a lot of movement.
Yeah, exactly.
So it will probably go from like the top and it'll come down. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I'm explaining myself properly, am I?
Yeah, no, that's it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I can't see it with like a, like, you know, that kind of,
No. Tight, posy, no.
yeah.
No. It needs to have movement, because there's a lot of movement in that dress. So that S, so if you can imagine an S that starts up here and it comes down and around, and that's the shape. So you have a lot of movement, obviously not quite up here, but
Yeah.
but definitely, like, yeah.
I kind of get what you mean. It would be like the dress very soft and very whimsical, kind of.
Yeah, really the dress dictates for us, doesn't it? Like for you and I, Fanula, we can't, you know, we can't push what we want, what we love, or what, you know, like if we're, like, say if I'm, you know, Gatsby mad and I love the 1920s vintage era, you know, with all the sparkle and everything, that just will not work with that dress. And sometimes people come to me, and you're probably the same, Fanula, that, you know, that idea of like a firm, posy, they'll come to me with a dress like that and they'll be saying, yeah, I have this, and the picture is that, you know, Gatsby bling, absolutely beautiful, beaded, and, you know, like I love beading, I'm happy to sit and sew, but for something like that, it has to be that soft and movement, and, you know, and we have to be led, and it can be hard to move a bride away from something that they've had in their head, because sometimes, like for me, they can actually have had the headpiece in their head, they'll have fallen in love with that before they've even found the dress, and they're like, this is the type of headpiece I really want, and I'm like, it just doesn't work with the dress.
Can you do a headpiece with like soft movement, Siobhan?
So this is the one I would kind of be encouraging. Now this, everything that I do is I will say, like when I see a dress, this is the headpiece that I see to match. And then the bride will guide me as to whether or not they like that style, or, you know, and kind of through play we find it. So I have this, which doesn't look anything at the moment, but basically it sits like this, and then you're left with, I don't know if you can see, this and this on either side.
I love that, it's gorgeous.
And then at the back there's a little drape, which probably won't be able to see it now, but there's just a little pearly drape. So with that, just a little bit of leather. It's kind of, this is called cinnamon, so it's a little leaf that's been rolled, but it has that, like, I'm looking at the dress, and, you know, the dress kind of feels sheer, even though it's clearly not, you know.
Match. Saying it's like little leather, and it's like little leaves as well.
Yeah. So
quite a beautiful dress when you start to look at it, like that.
Detail.
It wouldn't be a dress that I would necessarily walk into a shop and try on, but I have to say, looking at it now, and I'm getting so excited about it. Maybe I should.
Yeah. You're off to Mullingar to try it on.
And Siobhan, can I ask, that headpiece, can you wear that hair up and hair down, or does it need to be a particular style?
No. So I haven't put the fastener on it to secure, but this can absolutely, so you can, like, I have my hair down now, and I think it looks like relatively okay. This is often worn with a half up, half down style, you know, where somebody has kind of gathered the front. I obviously have no hairdressing skills, but they'll have this kind of a style, and some of their hair is down, maybe with some curls, and then they have that. And then sometimes we can do it detachable, so they're saying, look, I don't know how I feel about having all of that on all day long. Can you make it so that, you know, maybe the front pearls come off, and I just will clip back in the 2 pieces at the side, and we can do that. And you know, that kind of changes up the look for them for the evening time, or you know, for when the photograph.
Probably have all 3 of those pieces hanging at the back as well, Siobhan. Do they sit
You
like
can, yeah. Actually, I have. Do you know what I have? I have a photograph of that somewhere, I think, where basically they all go backwards and you don't have anything at the front. Yeah. So like literally, now that's not easy to you. You can't see it, but yeah, they're all in the back now. Yeah. And this is like, you know, again, I think this is the thing about handmade. Someone can come to me and say they do like it. It's missing something. And then I can say, do you think there's not enough pearl at the front, or do you think there's not enough pearl at the back? And like, because they're here in my creative space, I have everything to hand. So I can say, look, what do you think of this? You know, they usually bring someone with them who I allow them to take the photographs, because then they can send it to their sister or their friend or their whatever. Or they'll say, you know, like, this is quite plain. So this is just like a little bit of gold veiling or gold leather, and then the gold little leaves. And, you know, they might say, I actually want, you know, more bling. And that's where you could pop back in the bling from earlier, or, you know, little things like beading or whatever. That's the joy of being able to make something for somebody, that they have an input in it, and that it's, you know, it's my design starting out, but then their input makes it their design. They just don't have the skill set to make it. So then suddenly it's actually their design. I've just created it. So is this new, or what is it?
Yeah, so this arrived in January, early January. I ordered it in Harrogate, September. So that would have been the last trade show that I would have been
buying. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will be considered the current season collection, 2020. Okay.
And it's a dress, not a top and a skirt.
It is a dress, although it looks like a 2-piece.
It does look like a 2-piece.
I love it.
Yeah, I was very tempted now to try and get a 2-piece, I'm not going to lie. Simply because, like, if that was a top, I can see myself wearing it with a pair of jeans, you know?
Yeah.
So I was really tempted. Pieces. No, I didn't actually in the end, because I just kind of threw on the dress, like ended up being kind of a first dress girl. I was like, yep, this is it. Try on a few more. No, but I was very tempted to go for the 2-piece, you know, even a skirt and top, like, because then you could have, like, I like monochrome, so you could wear black top and skirt. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as well, it kind of gives a little bit more of a relaxed look as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to being very much the formal wedding dress.
Yeah,
you look like you're stood bolt.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I love this now. I love this. That's to me like a Christmas. Now, don't get me wrong. I know it would be amazing in summer, but to me, that's like Christmas and New Year's.
Is that all the sparkle?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a lovely little. It's kind of like a scalloped, I'll bring the camera closer in a minute, but the detail is like a scallop shape of beading and sequin. And this dress, again, it's 2-tone. I know in the camera that it looks very light, but this it's a nude lining on the bodice. Yeah. And then the skirt is an ivory Mikado. Now, Mikado would be much richer. The fabric itself more structured, a bit more heavier than, say, like a chiffon or a crepe, but it takes, the colour tone will be a bit richer as well. So this is ivory, but some people would interpret it more as a cream. But it's just the type of fabric that it is, and it's kind of got this little sheen on it as well. You can probably see it, just a little reflection there in the light, and it has this oversized bow detail. I think this style of dress is definitely more of, I would call it an acquired taste dress.
Really?
I would, but I think that's what makes it so unique, because not everybody is going to wear something like this. Yeah. And I think you're more likely to, you know, the questions that they're always going to ask about a wedding: what was the bride wearing? What was the food like?
Yeah.
I think this would be remembered.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it is quite unique. And Siobhan, I just want to show you, this is something that you would like.
It has pockets! Yeah, that's a dream dress right there.
The pockets, like, if anyone by any, I think it ties in really well with flowers are what I'm going to say now, Fanula. You know how some people are not very good at having their picture taken, as in they just feel really awkward, like standing posing. And I think pockets are a great way of kind of, you know, that thing of, oh God, what do I do with my hands?
What do I do with my hands?
And then the flowers, you know, it's got your hands occupied, so you're not like trying to do anything to kind of occupy your hands. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have to say, for me, this dress is a very formal dress for me, right?
Yeah.
And have you seen those bouquets that are just like maybe 12 white roses that just have a long stem, that just have a nice big bow on them again?
Yeah.
That for me is what I'm going to put with this dress. Like, it's a very formal dress, so, and I do not want to take away from that beautiful bow.
Yeah.
That's on the front of that dress, like that detail. Like, so if you go and you hold a bouquet, your natural instinct is to bring it into your stomach. Like, that's where you want to hold it. That's going to take away from that straight away.
Okay.
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
So one of those bows, are they the one of those bouquets that you want about? Are they the ones that you can actually have in one arm as well? I've seen some that you can kind of carry in one arm.
You can absolutely carry them in one arm. They're you keep the stems long on them, and it's for that. So they'll sit in your arm, or you can carry them in your hand very loosely. They're loosely put together. They're not tight. And I think it's the stem length that I would like with this dress.
Okay.
Because like, again, the only other type of bouquet would be a very much a wired bouquet that's very neat, and I just think it would take away from that. Like, I would imagine that the bride that would wear this would be a very stylish bride.
Oh yeah. It's very like, it's sophisticated, but like that, it kind of has the relaxed look of skirt and bodice kind of look to it.
Yeah.
What's the back of it like, Abby?
I'm going to try and turn it around because I want to fan the skirt out for you, just so you can get an idea. Now, I've not buttoned it up the whole way.
Ooh!
It's a full back, buttoned up the full way.
Yeah.
And
is that sheer?
That's all sheer, yeah.
Oh.
So the front is lined, but the back is sheer, but it's all beaded. And what it doesn't have at the front is this actual waistband, so that's what it gives the look, as in like a top tucked into the back of the skirt.
Yeah. I'm thinking here now. I'm like,
I think you could do so much with a headpiece on this dress.
I think you could go so many ways with the head. Oh, look at this. Sorry now. Wow. Gosh, imagine the photographs.
Oh yeah. Now I'm just going to try and bring that a bit closer so you can just see the actual bead in detail.
It's sensational. Do those buttons go down or do they stop there? No, they stop there.
They
really
just
is like a top and skirt. Yeah.
Yeah. Just all the way.
Would someone be able to get that altered afterwards, Abby, if they were like, I loved that, the top and skirt?
Yeah. Depending on, I suppose, how creative you are in a visual sense of what you could do with it. But yeah, it essentially is a top and a skirt. That's the way it's made, and it's been sewn together.
Yeah.
So if you had a very good dressmaker who, now, they would want to be very good because that's all beading and it's all hand beaded. So you'd want someone who's got a lot of time and patience to turn that into a top for you, because obviously they'd have to hem it correctly and But as long as as long as the dressmaker that you're using is reputable and has the right experience, and there's no reason why they couldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so even, go on, this is where my mind runs away with me now. And myself and Kay have done this before. You could turn something like this into a high-low skirt.
Ah, yes, okay.
Like a basic skirt, so you could have it a bit shorter at the front and longer at the back. But even if you wanted to, I suppose, get to wear your dress again, you could definitely take off the train and still have it done as a high-low skirt.
Yeah.
Because the shape of that fabric, because it's got that structure, it keeps the shape. So you could definitely do something like that.
Yeah.
I get a bit carried away with that type of thing now.
Go for it. I'm thinking there's actually loads of things that somebody could do here. I think though, more than you, Fanula, the dress itself is so statement. You can't have something huge. Like somebody who's bling, they could go for something like this. So it's like you can't really see it, but it's really sparkly. So they could definitely have that in their hair. Or they could go kind of pearls. They could even go for something like this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah.
Just pop on and you're veiling or whatever. They could go for what I had, which was just pearls on a hairband and veiling, or I actually made one no pearls, no veiling rather, all just pearls.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Really simple. And I have gold, so that's just pearls, but I stitched gold into mine.
Lovely. And the gold would tie in really well with the nude and the richness of the
you can have these, like, again, I'm back to why handmade is so good, but you could have those tones and have the champagne-y colours in there. I think you could even go, and I don't have one here, but you could even go, this is a collar, for something like this, like a high crown beaded, with something like that. You can really go, you can go all out if that's what the bride wants, or you could really pare it back and go bling or not. There's so much, the richness of the skirt like makes me feel for the pearls, but then the bling of the top, you could actually go for sparkle as well. So it's, or do you know what, to be totally honest with you, somebody who's wearing that could just go for a very simple ivory trimmed veil.
It's such a beautiful dress, like.
I actually loved the bird cage that you brought out, that first bird cage.
This one.
Yeah, I think that'd be fabulous with it.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. No, you could go, definitely you could go a few different ways. It's quite a classic dress, even though it has the sequins and the big bow. The style of it is quite a classic dress. So that makes me think that maybe somebody might just want to go for very simple pearls, or even a slightly larger version of like a pearl crown. But somebody who goes for that, like Fanula, you said somebody stylish would wear that. Somebody who goes for that will definitely have ideas. It's rare that somebody who has that dress will rarely come to me and say, I have no idea what I want. So they'll definitely have ideas that will guide me. 100%.
Things that people are having now are a little bit more alternative in comparison to what they would have been before, and this was very much for an alternative type of bride, or somebody who's looking for a second look, or even somebody looking for a second outfit for the next day. This is a perfect option. It's full crepe and it's lined. It's got a lovely like the texture of the fabric, it's lovely and soft. Has pockets.
Excellent.
The pockets. It has this lovely thick waistband, so that's just going to tuck in lovely on the waistline. It has a little pleat on the shoulder, so very much structured, like 80s, early 90s kind of, the Power Woman vibe.
Yeah,
woman look, with this kind of shoulder, and then it's a wide leg. So wide legs are just super flattering,
and they're so dressy.
So dressy. And could you imagine a lovely pair of pointy toe cords underneath it, just the pointy toe stilettos just sticking out on the bottom? Because something like this, with it being the wide leg, you would literally have it skimming the floor.
Fabulous.
And Siobhan, I've dicked this up before with a little piece in the middle. Would you do you do belts?
Yeah,
or do you do something like that we could incorporate?
Yeah, absolutely. Like somebody who's going to wear this as their wedding, now not for day 2 or second, but their actual wedding outfit. They, again, no more than the last person, they have a very definite sense of what they're looking for. Like they could go for your crown, something like that, really funky. I actually have a white jumpsuit that in the rush when we were deciding we'd bring everything forward, I tried on, and I had a black hairband that I had made, and I just wrapped it in a white fabric. My mom was like, yeah, that jumpsuit's nice, but definitely not with that hairband. But what she didn't know was if I was getting married in that jumpsuit, I was having a really wide, high like what I've just shown you, but not
Yeah.
in pearl, you know, hairband. That was what I was having. She didn't know that, but that is what I was having. Again, you could go now, it's that crown idea. I think you can kind of play with this because it's so funky. I don't know why I keep totally drawn to this crown idea with,
That's fab.
you know, something like this. And you could even have, you know, another color kind of, you know, in on it as well. You could actually not go for something huge and go for statement earrings. So go for like a leather gold leaf. You know, with that, I think they could really take it depending on the shoes, or as you say, depending on what's on the belt. And somebody like that could actually go for, I know we said for the classic style, but they actually could go for something for like this.
Bird cage.
Yeah. And then the bird cage could either be detachable, or one of my brides last summer, she just pushed it back, wore it all day, and then pushed it back over her hair after the wedding was over. Yeah, but I think you could go. That's really like it's a funky. You know, you can really kind of go with whatever the bride kind of guides you with there. What about you, Fanula?
I'm the same. You could have many styles with this. But again, like you, Siobhan, like I would imagine it's a very particular bride that's going to pick this. So she's going to be she's going to know what she wants. Pretty much any style, you could pull this off with this dress.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, it's
I'm even looking here.
Jumpsuit. Fabulous jumpsuit.
Yeah, I'm even looking here now. It could be made to the neckline, but she could go for something really statement around the neck. Now it could be V-shaped, like, you know, I could make it so that it fit the neckline, but she could go for something like this and have the neckline really embellished. You were saying about the belt, which she could have as well. But, you know, I think a bride who's going for this is probably not going for the totally traditional wedding and will have a very clear sense of the look that they're trying to create. Yeah. Fab.
Yeah. I envisage like a restaurant style wedding. Very much a city bride, if that makes any sense.
I feel city bride as well, 100%.
Yeah,
fabulous. Would that be suitable now for someone who's going away?
It would, but you wouldn't be going anywhere warm to wear it. Just because, you know, it is lined with the crepe and you've got the full sleeve.
Yeah.
Are very covered. Like, I don't know. I know people go to New York for weddings, but in the summertime and do like Central Park, but if you were doing like New York in the winter or something like that and doing very much like a civil ceremony style of wedding, like you could definitely imagine something like this.
Yeah, with a big fur.
Oh yeah. But just to mention the designer of this, so the designer is Catherine Parry, so it's a Welsh designer, but Maria is the lady herself who does the designing, and Maria has this in pillar box red for herself. Ooh. And she designed her sister's wedding dress, but she wore this in the pillar box red at her sister's wedding.
Wow, I tell you, that was fabulous.
Yeah, I'll see, can Maria send me the picture so I can put it on my Instagram. Yeah.
And hey, that was out of this world.
Yeah, I'd say it was incredible.
Yeah.
Just I mean, what kind of bridesmaids dresses then would somebody who's going for a jumpsuit as their wedding dress, but it's a jumpsuit, go for?
Okay, I would probably try and keep the bridesmaids in jumpsuits as well.
Would you? Okay, yeah.
I think that's what I would do.
Yeah. Because
I'd be trying to piece together a bridesmaid dress to go with this, and I think it'd be quite difficult to find.
Yeah.
I think the bigger problem would be is if you had 3 or 4 bridesmaids and they're all different shapes and sizes, and trying to find a dress to suit everybody to go with this, because I think if you wore a statement piece like this, I don't think you do the mix and match bridesmaid look.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it could be too much to look at.
Yeah, too much going on.
Yeah. So I'd probably go with jumpsuits for the bridesmaids, and I've seen, like again on Pinterest, I've seen some amazing jumpsuits for bridesmaids. But I'm a massive lover of a jumpsuit. Not everyone's into the jumpsuits, but I think they're just so comfortable to wear.
Yeah.
And do you know what? They're not as hard to go to the toilet in either as what it would be a wedding dress.
Oh, really?
I would have imagined it was
You
harder.
have to pretty much undress to go to the toilet, but instead of having to lift up a big skirt to go to the toilet or take your bridesmaid with you to help you, I think this would be a bit easier anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keeping it real a bit there, you see.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you might as well tell us. I have no idea how difficult it is to go to the loo in a wedding dress. So maybe it's easier to just strip off in a jumpsuit.
Did you ever see the thing about the IKEA bag? That went viral that last year, or was it 2 years ago? Yeah.
Cut it and step into it and
step into it. Yeah. But there is a thing, now I know it's sold in America, it's called a bridal buddy, and it is essentially a bin liner, but in white, with the hole in the middle and a drawstring that you actually wear it underneath your wedding dress. And then when you need to go to the toilet, you literally
push it into
the line up and around your dress and drawstring it together. So your dress is kind of like a big peplum, so you can go to the toilet.
Oh dear. Who knew there were such issues?
Or something a little bit more classic. Very understated, but very feminine at the same time. So it's a lovely heavy crepe on this one, form fitting, with the boat neckline. So this is all pearl detail, little pearl detail on the belt, and then it just comes down.
Oh my gosh.
At the back, and it's just got where the lining is. It's just a lovely shape on the bum when it's all fitted correctly, where the seams are. Just a lovely shape here as well.
Yeah, it has that same formal feel as the Mikado silk in some ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, like that, very classic, I suppose, in the style. But do you know what? It's actually quite ironic that you say that, because they're the same designer as well.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has. Like, Fionnuala, you used that word now a couple of times, that it was a formal dress, the other one, and I kind of feel that one is the same.
But I think this lends to giving you the ability to have a little bit more room to play with it in terms of design around it. So, like, certainly for the flowers, like you could do a very oversized bouquet with this dress, like very on trend, like an asymmetrical bouquet. You know, definitely. And get away with it. Nice flowing ribbons, you know.
Yeah, I think you'd have to go for a pearl. Like, is that detailed pearl on the neck and on the waist?
It is, but there is like a little flicker of silver thrown in there, just very, very delicate. But it is mainly pearl detail.
Yeah, I think somebody who's going to go for this is probably going to go classic, like something maybe like this, but with pearl, you know.
Yeah.
Something, or maybe what else was I thinking of there now a second ago? Maybe even a hairband. Like, it depends. Hairbands are so in at the moment. You know, some people I think have very definite views on, like, like just simple. You know, I'm just looking, that dress is so beautiful. I think the headpiece just needs to be really complimentary. That it's just really simple. And probably the bling as well, a little bit of the bling, you know.
Yeah, I think the style of the dress is very timeless.
Very timeless.
In 10 years' time, you could look back on pictures and you wouldn't feel that it's dated, whereas there are some dresses that, you know, that would be very very fashion forward, so to speak. So, you know, you can kind of tell when, or which decade that they were worn, if that makes sense.
It's very classy.
Yeah. But I could definitely, I suppose, that, like Fionnuala said, very formal. I could imagine a girl with very much a sleek hairstyle and maybe something at the back that they could wear a veil with. And
I honestly think something like this, but with pearl. Like, that doesn't have any pearl, but I do think that this, you know, back here, kind of with a, as you say, like, you know, that chignon thing, kind of fullness at the back, little bit of volume, and then maybe a veil and this sitting on the top of it with the pearl detail as well. I definitely think that could be, you know, I think that then the headpiece is there, but it's not taking from the dress because it can't be seen from the front. You know? Yeah.
And Fionnuala, because that's so understated with the fabric, colour-wise,
Color wise, again, like this will depend on what you would put with the bridesmaids. That's how I would drag the color in. But like it lends to so much. Like you could get away with anything. If the bride wanted yellow, she could get away with it. Now, not that I'd be recommending yellow, but you know, you could really get away with anything with that. So I really would be bringing the color from the bridesmaids.
Yeah. I'm going to get a colour just to see.
Just to put my abilities to the test.
Yeah. Work, Panula, work.
Now, it's very hard to see this colour in here. It looks very dark.
It's like a
it's
teal?
actually quite vibrant. It's been a very popular colour this season. It's called petrol blue. You really can't see it.
So that would work. It's fabulous. Fab. I really
very
like
classic. Very classic. Yeah.
So like you could bring some pinks in there. You could bring whites, greens. You could use a bit of color there. So there's if it was a wedding today, I'd probably you know, put a bit of a deepness in there, a depth of color in there. Maybe with some narines or something. So it's a darker shade with the lighter, airy kind of colours. Very romantic kind of feel.
And Fionnuala, just while I'm thinking about bridesmaids, so I would have had a couple of bridesmaids that are going all ivory, which I think is fabulous, the all ivory. But what type of flowers would you be recommending to those girls who go with the all ivory look? So the bride's all ivory and bridesmaids all ivory.
So it would really depend on her personality. If her personality, so I would try and bring out her personality. So if it was me and all of my bridesmaids, I would literally stick to the whites and the greens. And I would stick to that elegant. But you know, if you meet somebody and they're very bubbly and they're, you know, full of life, you want to give them life. You want to give that, because that's where you have the ability to bring that, you know, playful personality out. So it would really depend on the bride's personality in that case. But you could get away with anything with all white. You know? That's your point, to be able to bring in a bit of color, you know. Like if you stand all white in a picture, you know, and you have white flowers, they'll all just mold into one another.
Blend.
So when you bring in the lime green into a bouquet, it'll lift that whole color, you know, and it'll give an elegance. And then you can use like I would use an awful lot of silk ribbon. And I would tend to leave my silk ribbon just flowing, and that again brings a little bit of colour and depth into the picture. But you want to think about your pictures very much so. Like, you certainly wouldn't be holding a bunch of white roses. You know, or anything that is dome shaped if you had all white, because what will happen is it'll just all come into the white dress. You know?
And Siobhan, could you incorporate a little bit of colour? I know some girls are going for like little headpieces for the bridesmaids as well.
Yeah. So like let's say someone was going for this. Now I know this isn't colour, but I would have a bride go for the big version of it. So let's say something like this. If I can untangle it. Now this one has a pearl, but if you can see it.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay, so that could be the bride's headpiece, and then the bridesmaids would end up maybe with this or with this, you know. So it's basically a mini version of what the bride is having. Or if I can show you, let me see now. May or may not be able to get this. Let me show you all of my photographs. This, if it will load, is where the bridesmaids were this kind of lilac-y, lavender, dusty, pinky, purpley colour. I don't even know what colour it actually was called. And I dyed the fabric to be the exact match of the bridesmaids' dresses. But this is the bride's headpiece. I don't actually have a picture of it on her to hand. But it was amazing. It was really fabulous. And I hadn't done something so dramatic for a bride like that before. I say dramatic, it's not dramatic, but you know, my brides that I'm working with tend to go for the pieces I've shown you, the pearls, the golds, the champagnes, you know, they tend to stay, maybe the sequins and the little bit of sparkle. But this bride was like, no, definitely, that's what I want. And actually, a bride last year at Christmas time, she went for this, but put green. Her bridesmaids were forest green, and she put there was like, I had 3 little pieces of forest green in it. So the brides can have a very definite sense of, I want to include something belongs to the color scheme in my headpiece or not. Yeah.
So it's in terms, just I'll show you this bouquet, because if it was all white, this is kind of what I would kind of go for, this one. Lovely.
Oh, that's beautiful, Fionnuala.
You know, there's a lot of texture in it. There's off-white tones in there. None of those roses are full colour. So like, there's a cappuccino rose in there, there's a blush rose in there, but none of them are full colour. They're like on a white tone. But that's kind of, that would be what I would be looking at. It's more on the lines of a fine art wedding.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really where I would go with it.
Yeah, it's funny when I see that, Fionnuala, you know, the dress, the second dress we saw with the taupe underline and the leather detailing, I would love that with that. Would that work?
Not
no.
really fun, and the reason why it wouldn't, there's too much, there is a lot of texture in that dress, and there's too much texture in this bouquet.
For the dress.
It needs clean lines.
Okay, yeah. Because when I see that, I'm thinking, oh, the colour